Welcome to my Mortal Instruments stream. Thanks so much for joining me. I have this whole entire series with me. There's several books. It's by Cassandra Clare. So the series goes by two names, the Mortal Instruments, but it's also the Shadowhunters series. So you can see it, and it also kind of has this book theme going on. So like every book also starts with city. So yeah, and these are the main characters on each of the books. Like, that's Clary, she's the main character, and pretty sure that's Jace, her love interest. And then we have, like, the others in the group, Alec and Isabel. So I'm kind of dressed like Isabel in the series. I've gotten told that I kind of resemble her. So I guess she's my favorite character, but I also really resonate with the main character, Clary, and the transformation that she goes through. So I really enjoyed starting to read the series. However, I haven't gotten through the whole book series yet. I've only had a month to really delve into this series because I've actually never heard of it before. It wasn't until I stumbled on it because we had like discovered Mortal Engines, the movie, and I was like typing, what other Mortal movies are there? And then Mortal Instruments came up, and I was like, oh my god, it's taken me this entire however long I am now to discover. And as you guys know, I'm writing my own book series, and I've actually used the word mortal in it, and that was like previous to me discovering this series. So it's kind of exciting to kind of delve into a very pre-established mortal series. And actually it's quite inspired off of Harry Potter. So I've actually made a presentation today to kind of delve into how this series was inspired by Harry Potter, but also how, if you're a writer yourself, that you can be inspired by these stories. Okay, so before we go into it, have you guys seen it? The movie came out, and then there was a TV show. So I don't know which you prefer, but obviously, like, the movie, the production value is so high that it's quite exciting to watch. And then the TV series, I believe it was 3 seasons. I got through them. And yeah, it tells the story more in depth. So if you feel like you watched the movie and then you didn't get to, like, because the movie, they ran with one. They were gonna do multiple movies, but I think right after this, it hit the box office that they weren't too happy with the results of the first movie, so they kind of canceled the rest of the movies. So what we're left with is the TV show that actually completes all these books, right? Because there's so many of them. So the TV show goes way more in depth into all of these books. Meanwhile, the first movie only really covers the first book, so you're kind of left with a cliffhanger in the first movie, and you're like, oh, I wish I could see this play out, but lo and behold, the actors of the movie that you might remember, there's no sequel or trilogy with them in it. Anyway, okay, let's go. So if you've not seen it, hopefully I can introduce it for you today, because I really enjoyed it. So we're going to look at the movie, and this is the full cast of the movie versus the TV show, and this is the full cast of the TV show. Okay, Harry Potter lore. So I was thinking, like, and this music is quite intense. I've actually put the theme song in the back. Okay, anyway, so with Harry Potter, you obviously know the wizards. Now with the Mortal series, you got something quite like a wizard, but they're called Nephilim, and obviously Nephilim is from the Bible, and they just mean that they have angel blood in them. So in the story in the Book of Enoch specifically, in biblical lore, the Nephilim are half angel, half human, right? So Cassandra, the writer, she just took a pre-established biblical theme, world mythology, and what it represents, meaning an angel-human hybrid. And she created these superheroes, which are kind of like wizards. So they're very much like Harry, Ron, and Hermione in Harry Potter. However, they have half angel blood, and they're intrinsically kind of like a deity. Whereas with wizards, sure, they have magic in their blood, but that doesn't make them some sort of angelic deity, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the distinction there. And if you see the confetti, it's because I personally prefer that theme, or I find it more interesting, and it's something that I'm going to explore in my own writing, if that makes sense. But I know you'll have your own opinions on which is best and how you would build your world mythology, right? So let's take a look at the main character. So she's Clary. I believe this is her on the main character on the book. So I preferred, and this actress also starred in Tolkien's biopic. She was Edith Tolkien. So yeah, she's a well-known actress. Actually, she's in Emily in Paris, the TV show too, if you know her. Lily Collins, I believe is her name. So she did a great, incredible job. And actually, her and her romantic lead were dating at the time, so there's this actual chemistry that goes on. But also, she pulls off the character quite well. Like, the first chapter of the book series is Clary in the Pandemonium nightclub. And then she starts to see these Shadowhunters, and she thinks she's going crazy, and because she can draw these runes. And then little does she know that she ends up being a Nephilim / angel half hybrid / what do you call Shadowhunter at this stage. And the TV actors did quite well too. Like she was quite convincing, and of course you see her for a lot longer because there are 3 series. So she's quite cool, and I don't know, maybe she got the hair color more accurately in the TV series. It's kind of like a strawberry blonde. I think, anyway, there's 2 renditions. Either she has brown hair or strawberry blonde hair, Clary. She's the one. So she kind of forms this Avengers-style team, really, with the other Shadowhunters when she meets them. Okay, so the main premise is about a love triangle, and this is like Twilight. So if you remember in Twilight, it's Edward and Jacob. So it's kind of like this in the Mortal series, because she has her best friend, and it's portrayed in the movie and in the TV show, right? So these 3 actors, just depending. And I preferred the love triangle of the movie because I thought they were a lot more convincing in terms of, like, I don't know, the chemistry than the TV show. The TV show, it didn't feel as convincing. But anyway, it's kind of like an interesting trope that really works in fantasy. I mean, obviously. So they're best friends, and they just met him, but he's kind of like rough around the edges. So obviously there's, sparks that start flying, but they're all kind of like best friends too. And I think that's what makes it like real fun to read, I guess. Okay, so Simon is an interesting character. He starts off as her best friend, and again, I prefer the rendition of the movie. And so he's kind of like geeky but edgy, and so he gets kind of thrown into the world, not because he's a Nephilim, but because he's her best friend, and he's kind of like helping her tackle all these clues and mysteries, and they've known each other for years, so he's kind of like responsible for her in a way. And she starts, communicating with these Shadowhunters, and it makes her look like she's going crazy. So he's kind of there to stabilize her through the first act of the series. And they kind of really pull off like two best friends. And Jace, again, I prefer the actor in the movie. Again, Lily Collins and him were dating in real life, so that's kind of, I should have pulled up some photos of like paparazzi of them dating. They kind of a great couple. So yeah, this is the scene in the club where they first meet, and it's written in the first chapter like that. And so he starts following her because, okay, the whole thing is like they're kind of invisible and they can only be seen by other Shadowhunters, but because she is a Shadowhunter, she doesn't know it, she can see him and other people can't. So that's part of why he starts following her. He's like, why can you see me, basically? And then she starts handing him these drawings that she's been doing, and she's like, what is this? Like, do you know anything about this? And that's kind of where the inciting incident starts, and it turns her life around. She starts discovering about magic, angelic power, and, you know, she ends up falling in love with him. The actor in the TV series, this actor is so memorable. He's in a few shows that I've seen. So I don't think he's a bad actor, and he did portray it quite well. I just think the chemistry between them was a bit forced, but hey. They still pulled off a good rendition of this couple, which is down to what we're talking about. It's just the writing. This is novel's first writing, and that's why it translates so well to the screen, is because the author really put time and effort to really describe these characters into books first. So Isabel, again, is the one that I'm cosplaying. She carries this weapon, and this is why I try to carry it, but it's so difficult. So it's like a snake that, I don't know, it's kind of her weapon. She uses it as a leash whip, something. She's supposed to be quite badass, and I like that there is a character this like kind of up front. And then Alec, I prefer the TV show rendition. I didn't feel like Alec in the movie was memorable. This Alec, he portrays it quite well. So he's just meant to be kind of like the other friends, because every movie needs friends, a friend group. It's a bit more complicated. He is soul tied to the love interest, so they are what's called a parabatai, meaning they're kind of like friends that have made this pact. So that's why he's kind of like central to the story, and then he ends up dating a wizard, and they kind of, he's a warlock, my bad. Yes, so there's, okay, we'll get here. Warlocks. So warlocks are a different creed. They're not Nephilim, they're not half angels, they're just maybe like a 1/4 angel or something, but they've been now called Underworlders, so that's warlocks, vampires, any elves, and one more, I forgot. But yeah, warlocks are the most powerful of the Underworlders. Oh, werewolves, I forgot werewolves. So I really enjoyed how she took the time as a writer to archive a list of like what constitutes an underworlder versus an angel. Anyway, so Mortal Instruments is all about these instruments, and there are 3 of them. And this is very similar to Harry Potter again, but here you have the first mortal instrument, which is the cup, you have the sword, and then you have the mirror, which is the lake. And I prefer the Mortal Instruments version of it because it actually has some value to it. Like, if you drink from the cup, you can become a Shadowhunter. So that's, the Institute is where they all kind of work. And it's kind of like Hogwarts in a way. So the Institute or Hogwarts, I do prefer Hogwarts, I'm not going to lie. The Institute is just an abandoned church that they all hang out. I mean, it does convert into like this agency kind of workplace. Okay, angels. This is another reason I like this show, because I've not really seen angels in many TV or books or anything. And it goes about a whole story of how you would make a wish to an angel and how an angel would appear or talk. I guess the closest is the headmaster wizard in Harry Potter. Okay, anyway, runes or spells. So runes are like tattoos that they give themselves and they activate them. Some have the power to activate them on their own. Others you need like a kind of stele thing. So which one do I prefer? I prefer runes. I think spells are interesting, but runes are more mythic. They're older. They're actually, you know, based on probably Norse runes. Or even, like, isn't there Old English runes? But Parabatai, again, is another reason why I really like this show. I think it's very similar to, like, Gnostic Aeons, which is what I'm writing about. But Parabatai is like the Unbreakable Vow in Harry Potter, where, I don't know, they explore this idea that, you know, you're bound to another soul. Okay, I've talked about this briefly, but now I have visuals to it. So Underworlders, you can go through portals to go to these underworld parts of the city. But anyway, this is where warlocks live, where vampires, elves, and werewolves live, basically. This is kind of like Twilight in a way, but I think what I like about it is, again, it's organized into clans. And they all have this kind of government system for their own clan. And the Seelies are really fascinating. They live in this kind of like area where there's snow falling down at all times. It's kind of like Narnia. And they're very honest. And they never lie. So there's these quirks about these different clans. Demons, you got Lily Collins, her character, Clary. Claire's father ends up being Valentine. He's kind of like a dark figure. And then Lilith, the demon, the one I'm writing about, is in this book. And she's the final boss of the series. She's like a greater demon. And they have to basically defeat her. Okay, the Circle's very much like the Death Eaters. So the Circle's Clary's mom and her dad. And then the Institute owner, and then Clary's new boyfriend on the end. Clary's mom's new boyfriend, sorry. And the Circle, again, is like Death Eaters. So it's very much like Harry Potter coded. I'm trying to make sure the presentation is okay. Alright, so the Ministry of Magic and the Clave is like very next to each other. So the Clave is kind of like the ones that conduct the order for business of like between the underworld, between the Nephilim, the angels, and human world. And they kind of all work for the Clave in a way, even though they have power struggles with it. So I wanted to go through the movie itself and take screenshots so we can like kind of see the whole story better. Okay, so they are not dating, but they're very good friends. They go to this Pandemonium Club because she's looking for symbols, and she starts following these people, and they're meant to be invisible, but she can see them again. And she has her first meet cute with her love interest, which is the Shadowhunter. And she thinks that she saw him do something bad, so she's scared of him. The next morning she wakes up and she's drawn like all these signs, and she's like, what is going on? Like, I'm seeing random people, like I'm drawing these crazy things, like it's all over my room. Her mom is like struggling to tell her something this whole time, so there's a bit of like drama there. And then she's like confiding in her friend that she's seeing people and drawing things, and he's like, who? Because I can't see anybody. And again, she's trying to get answers. So as soon as she sees this invisible person who ends up being a Shadowhunter, she wants to ask him, because he also has that drawing on his hand. So she ends up learning that she's a Shadowhunter. And then her mom calls her So her mom, again, was part of the clave, the circle. So she was okay, the best way to explain it is her mom was a Death Eater. Her mom was a Death Eater, and she tried to escape being a Death Eater, so she ran away with one of the mortal instruments. And the mortal instrument is, again, one of the holy grails. It is basically a holy grail. And her mom drew these cards and hid the grail inside the card. So he's going like, that's a mortal instrument. And basically now they have to, they don't know the instrument is in the card. It's this whole secret that, spoiler alert. Anyway, so they're like, we have to go to the Institute. And they're like, oh, the Institute, what is this? It is an abandoned church, but from the outside, it starts to become this like mythic place like Hogwarts. And so she gets her first rune. And he's like, the fact that the rune had an effect on you, now we definitely know you have Shadowhunter blood, because you can only have runes, those tattoos on your body, if you're a Shadowhunter. So, okay. So he's saying either you're born a Shadowhunter or you have to drink from the mortal cup. So that's why this cup, this chalice, is so important. You're going to end up learning that this angel gave this cup, and that's how Nephilim were made. And then they start to talk about the Downworlders. But anyway, the story is the Crusaders, again, they always blame everything on the Crusaders. They've discovered that the angel Raziel, so this is the angel right here. Raziel poured his blood into a cup. The clave, the keepers of the cup. Valentine, which was her dad, drew a circle of friends together to help him steal the mortal cup from the cave. So he got the Death Eaters to steal the cup from the Ministry of Magic. And he did it because he basically wanted to start experimenting on this cup. So they've ended up stealing it from the Ministry of Magic. And then her mom ends up stealing the cup in order to protect it. Anyway, so you get the point. This cup is like really important. So she starts to realize that she's had mental blocks. Like, she's realizing like her mom was a Death Eater, that the magic exists, but her mom had hired this warlock to basically erase her memories, kind of like the Black Widow in X-Men in the Marvel movies. She's kind of like discovers she's a spy, kind of like Born Identity too. Like, anyway, her friend gets taken by vampires, and he gets bitten by vampires, and she starts to learn about the demons and all this stuff. Anyway, this part was interesting. They're saying that music has the power to like expose demons, and they're saying like, was Bach a Shadowhunter? Like the actual composer Bach. So they're kind of like playing with how people like in the past may have been Shadowhunters. And they've started to fall in love. And yeah, I felt like it was a very quick in the movie too. It was a bit too quick, but I guess they had to like kind of like make sure they could get everything all in the movie, so they sped everything up. But yeah, basically what happens is they get in an argument. So let me just back it up a bit. Let's go back from here. Okay, vampire. He becomes a vampire. They start to learn more about demons. Demons react to certain frequencies when two tones cross, meaning music drives demons away. Bach discovered this and put it into a system using whatever. So Bach was a Shadowhunter. And then, so now they know that music can dispel demons, that they use that later on. But the portal, it takes... dropping like all these how how the world works, like portals. They have portals to, anyway, she's like figuring out all this stuff about this new world. So as soon as she gets with him, her friend is upset at her, and he's like, I'm the one that's always been there for you, whatever. She discovers that she has this power where she can take things out of notebooks. And she's like, I know where they hid the cup. And then so she takes the cup out of the tarot card. So remember earlier, we were saying that her mom drew these tarot cards. She hid the cup in this tarot card so it would go unnoticed. And then Clary ends up figuring out, okay, my mom hid this really important cup in this tarot card that she left me, and I have this power. And that's the first mortal instrument that you get to learn about. But what ends up happening is the Institute, the head chief, ends up being a traitor and bringing her dad, which is Valentine, back from this portal that he was in. Okay, he ends up convincing the two characters that they're siblings. It's this whole ordeal. It's very Star Wars-like. So now they think that they're siblings, so that's a bit awkward. And they're not, spoiler alert. But that's how the movie ends. Okay, so because the movie ends so abruptly, this is why it's important to watch the TV show to get more clarity. So here we are. We're at the part of the TV show now. Okay. So the way she meets him is the very same. It's in front of the club, the Pandemonium. And notice how the Pandemonium, it has the word demon in it. I thought it was quite clever how she wrote that. You get a lot more to see, like, the vampires, the Parabotai Pond. Like, that wasn't in the movie at all. The relationship between Magnus, the Warlock, and the Nephilim. You get to see their relationship all through stages, and then the love arc with her friend who becomes a vampire, and that whole thing. So yeah, you know how in Twilight you don't really get to see like both sides. Like she's primarily, like Bella in Twilight series is primarily with Edward, like for the entire series. Like very, like just for a few scenes, she's on Jacob's side. But in this series, she actually explores both of her love interests, which it's okay. But I don't know. The whole, like, it's a bit weird for me, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like she shouldn't have bothered with the friend arc. I think it kind of just sidetracked the story for me. But anyway, so she's with her friend. Okay, the reason she's with her friend is because she thinks he's her sibling. So she's like, okay. But it's like, why did she just start dating him so quickly? It happened so quickly. Like, she was with her love interest the entire first, like, part of the arc. And then they lied to her. And so she starts dating the other guy right after. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so she uses the angel wish to bring him back because, spoiler alert, he just died. And she uses the angel wish to bring him back. Okay, the part that is crazy is just how much happens. Like, as you can tell, there's a lot that goes into this series. So let me just wind it back up. Okay. I feel like I would have preferred it if the series, instead of putting this strange, like, cliffhanger, I wish they had just, like, not done that. Because it doesn't feel right that they're really attracted to each other, and then suddenly they think they're siblings, and then because of that, she starts dating the best friend. And that, like, I just think it's too extra. I didn't like when they were together the entire... again, I felt like these actors didn't have the chemistry, maybe. But I just didn't like the fact that, like, she had her soulmate the entire time and then it, like, deviated her. But, yeah, so she uses the... So, apparently, according to legends, you only get one wish from the angel. Ever. And so because she used it on him, she now has to lie to the Ministry of Magic, the Clave, that she didn't use up the one wish that the angels have ever given them. Lilith is surprising to me. Like, they actually say she's the first wife of Adam. That's why you see her say it right here. So I think this portrayal was excellent. It's very right off, like, the lore of the traditional lore of Lilith being a she-demon and, like, and kind of like the mother of all demons. It was very cool to see it play out. Now, in my story, am doing something completely opposite. And in my story, Lilith is actually like an anti-hero and not a villain. But it was interesting to actually even see like a version of Lilith play out at all. Even if she is the villain. But yeah, she's a great villain. And again, it's her using biblical lore. Like, she used Nephilim, she used Lilith. Later on, she uses the mark of Cain. So these are biblical ideas that then she just expanded. And that ties it back to like why I'd done this stream to begin with, because you can see how kind of easy it becomes once you've decided like a certain text that you want to parallel your work off of. Like, if it's the Bible, it's the Bible. And then you can build your entire mythology and world and fantasy based off of that. So it becomes less of an arduous task if you have something that you can spawn off of. And I think that's what's so clever about Mortal Instruments and Shadowhunters, because she spawned off of actual biblical lore. These are archangels that we see come to life. This is Lilith transforming from an actual demon into a goddess. This is like signs and symbols on the ground. Yeah. Lilith using portals. So I'm very inspired by this series. That's kind of why I wanted to go online and talk today about this. The mark of Cain here. And this is actually Cain from the Bible, so she brought in this character, the Cain, and she wove in how Lilith was the reason why he killed his brother Abel from the Bible. These are Adam and Eve's kids, you know? So it's sick how you can incorporate these, because they're fair use. Obviously they're biblical characters, so you can use them. And this is exactly what I'm doing in my series. So I know now that I cannot call it the Mortal series, which I had intended to before, because I didn't know there was like other predominant series in this universe with this word. But now that I know that there's a whole like pre-established Mortal Instruments series, like me using Mortal series for mine is no longer applicable. I have to narrow it down. So my series, since the beginning, has been Mortal Lust. I kind of strayed away from it because I thought it was a bit too specific. That's why I was trying to go for the middle ground. But because I've now unlocked this series, I'm like, okay, I'm going back to Mortal Lust. So mine is the Mortal Lust series. The main character is Lilith. She's an anti-hero instead of a villain in mine. And it's very similar to the Mortal Instruments, but it's, you know, also a landmark of Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or the Neuromancer series that inspired the Matrix. Like, the two lead characters kind of being challenging of authority is a template that works very well, and this is why I'm using it in my series. So yeah, instead of runes, they're gonna have some sort of magic. So I don't exactly know when I will be able to show you like the full result of what I'm imagining with my series, but I think by February I will have at least a full draft of my first book, and that way you can have a look at what it is that I've kind of gathered and done, and hopefully it can inspire you if you're a writer, or if not, if you're just interested in fantasy. But hi, thanks for dropping a note at 88. It's new to you. Very cool. Yeah, it was new to me too. So yeah, anyway, it's a very quick stream. Again, I still have the wand from Harry Potter. But I do wish I had like some tattooed runes. I think that would be really cool. So that might be one of my next tattoos, is like a rune from Mortal Instrument. But yeah, anyway, Harry Potter is my next stream. I went to the official Harry Potter, what do you call it? the filming site in London. And so I've made a little vlog and I will share it with you very soon. Hope you guys had a wonderful holiday for Thanksgiving. And yeah, I will see you guys in a few weeks before Christmas. Yeah. Bye, y'all. Thanks so much for joining. See ya next time. Hope I explained it right, too. I know it was very difficult to follow, but yeah, I think once you've seen it, I think it'll make a lot more sense. And